Am I the asshole for not wanting to see my father? My dad, 36 male, and my mom, 33 female, split up when I was about 6 months old. My dad has been on and off of drugs for most of my life, and I didn't know till about a few years ago. I mainly live with my mom, but I saw my dad a few times a couple months ago. In February of 2020, I went to his house and told him I did not feel comfortable around him. He is very narcissistic and paranoid. At the time, he was high off meth and he grabbed me by the throat and tried to choke me, while screaming at me about how disrespectful and ungrateful I was. My mom finally pulled him off me and I ran to my mom's car. Well, he chased me down and slammed me into my mom's car. He told me how I was a liar and how I'd end up pregnant or ARD within the next year, and that he did not want to be a part of that. He then tried to call the cops on me for harassment. I've only seen him twice since this. He's begging me to come see him and has apologized. So, am I the asshole for not wanting to see him after all this? Am I the asshole for ignoring my mother's boyfriend? A couple of weeks ago, I was eating and then my mom's boyfriend came in and started looking at me and my food. He proceeded to say that it is very unhealthy and I should start to eat better. It obviously bothered me, but I left things as they were until a couple of days later, he did it again. Same words and all. He would come into the kitchen whenever and he told me he was going to start picking out my food and what I eat, and if he doesn't, then I cannot eat. Or I'd have to wait until he gets home to do so. And then it became a regular thing and eventually turned into an eating disorder. He knew that it bothered me and still continuously did it. I don't know how to talk to my mom as she usually takes his side on everything and doesn't care to talk to him about it. So, am I the asshole for ignoring my mother's boyfriend while I live under their roof? And remember, if you guys want your story told, please submit them through my Instagram DM. Thanks.
Am I the asshole for telling my wife the lock on my daughter's door does not get removed till my brother-in-law and his daughters are out of our house? My brother-in-law, Sammy, lost his home shortly after his divorce 10 months ago. He moved in with us and brought his twin daughters, Olivia and Sloane, who are both 18, with him a couple months ago. His sister, my wife, and I have one daughter, Zoe, who's 16, and she and her cousins aren't close, but they get along fine. Olivia and Sloane have no respect for Zoe's privacy, none. They used to walk into her room and take everything they could get their hands on. Makeup, phone accessories, clothes, school laptop, etc. Zoe complained a lot, and I've already asked the girls to respect Zoe's privacy and stop taking things. My wife and Sammy saw no issue with this. After all, they're girls, and this is typical teenage girls' behavior. I completely disagreed. Last straw was when Zoe bought a $60 MAC makeup kit that looks like a paint set that she saved up for over a month, and one of the girls, Sloane, took it without permission and ruined it by mixing shades together while using it. Don't know much about makeup, but that's what Zoe said when she found the kit on her bed, and she was crying. I told my wife, and she said she'd ask Sloane to apologize, but I got Zoe a lock after I found she was moving valuable belongings out of the house because of this incident. Sammy and his daughters saw the lock and they weren't happy. The girls were extremely upset. Sammy asked about it and I straight up told him. He said, "My daughters aren't thieves. It's normal that girls of the same age borrow each other's stuff." He said Zoe could easily get another makeup kit for $15 from Walmart and shouldn't even be buying expensive adult makeup in the first place, and suggested my wife take care of this defect in Zoe's personality, trying to appear older than she is. He accused me of being overprotective and babying Zoe with this level of an embalmment. I told him this is between me and my wife, but she shamed me for putting a lock on Zoe's door for her cousins to see and preventing them from spending time with her, saying I was supposed to treat them like daughters, then demanded I remove it, but I said this lock does not get removed till her brother and his daughters are out of our house. She got mad. I was implying we kick them out and said her family will hate me for this. So I reminded her that I let Sammy and his family move in, which is something her own family refused to do. So she should start with blaming them for not taking their own son, nieces, and granddaughters in. If it wasn't for her family's unwillingness to help, we wouldn't be dealing with this much disturbance at home. Everyone's been giving me and Zoe silent treatment, and my wife is very much Am I the asshole for not sharing medical history before being pranked? Hey yo, I'm a schizophrenic, started when I was 22 and will last till I die. I'm active in schizophrenic communities, go to groups, the works, but I'm fairly private about it to most people, including my friends. It's fairly common for people to think I'm eccentric, comes with the turf, due to some of my habits. Those habits include not going to parties or other places with lots of people, suddenly deciding not to do something. I have to be protective not to do or to go to certain things if I think a delusion might be coming on. Saying the occasional odd quip, normal schizophrenic stuff. Some friends thought it would be funny to make it seem like I might be going crazy as a group. They would individually wear something silly like a wizard hat or dinosaur costume, you know, that T-Rex blow-up costume, to a group event, or say something totally out of the ordinary and pretend like it was normal. Police like to track people like you, COVID is a way to just microchip you, etc. These are very real, scary thoughts to me. I would ask members of the group if they had heard concerns about these conspiracies or weird garb from the other members, but they all acted like they had hung out with that particular member that day and I hadn't been involved. I was really, really scared that this could have been a massive delusion morphing into a full psychosis, so I preemptively checked myself into a hospital to stop myself from potentially hurting myself or diving further into the rabbit hole, common in schizophrenic community. I was so scared my medication stopped working. No one heard from me for a few days while I was in the hospital, and when I checked out, I confided in one of them about what had happened. I got a really long apology explaining what had happened, and I blew up at them. I have ignored attempts from the others trying to apologize and have no desire to talk with them again. Am I the asshole for not previously stating that I'm a schizophrenic? Edit. People have been asking to post the length of the prank. It was about 3 weeks. Edit number 2. Thank you for the awards and stuff, but I really want to highlight some of the messages I have gotten. I'm at around 150 messages and counting, and I'm trying to respond to the ones where I can hopefully offer insight. Resources that I find helpful: subreddit schizophrenia. For groups, just Google schizophrenia support groups in your area. Something will pop up, and when you actually get there, someone will have a further list. You get what you put into the groups. You don't have to talk your first couple times, but no one will look at you with the batshit look if you say reality check, is there a bird in the room or something, in that regard. That did happen once. And am I the asshole for punishing my son after he said something racist? About a week ago, my family ordered Chinese food for delivery. When the delivery driver came to the door, my daughter, 16 female, was taking the cat upstairs to put in her room because he always tries to eat the food. My son, 13 male, loudly says, "Make sure to hide the cat from the Chinese guy," as I am at the door getting the food from the Chinese delivery driver. He very obviously heard what my son said and was upset by it. I quickly apologized and took the food. I told my son that racist jokes were completely unacceptable and very wrong, and he refused to admit that he was in the wrong. So later that night, I forced my son to write a sincere apology to the delivery driver. His name was on the receipt, as well as write a 1-page paper on Chinese culture and a 1-page paper on why racism is perpetuated by racist jokes and stereotypes. Then the next day, I took him to the restaurant and had him read his apology aloud to the delivery driver, as well as give him the papers he wrote. The driver was very appreciative of the apology and thanked me for making my son do it. He then told my son about multiple instances where he had faced racist comments and attacks from people while he was a delivery driver. That night, my husband, 43 male, and I got into an argument about me making our son do this. He told me that it was embarrassing for our son to have to do this apology and that the punishment didn't fit the crime. I told him that it was much more embarrassing for the driver to have to face that kind of racism and racist stereotypes, and that our son would get over the embarrassment. I do not condone any kind of hateful thinking in my house, and the fact that my son said that embarrassed me as well. My husband told me that it was just a joke and it wasn't that big of a deal. I feel like I might have overreacted some, but I think it's important to help my son understand how what he said was wrong and hurtful. I finished the story early, so I'm going to read some of the upvoted comments. So a lot of the comments talked about how the dad needed a lesson too. And there was one comment that really stuck out to me. It says, especially because you have no idea if he's saying this around other Asian kids where there's even more damage. I remember all the racism I faced in school, that I had tiny eyes, or I ate dogs, or Chinese people were barbaric and always drowning their girl babies. I'm a girl and my parents didn't drown me. But I left a lasting impression and often wished I was white so I could be normal. But if we fight back, we're too sensitive.